from Luke, Acts. When the day of Pentecost had come, they were all together in one place, and suddenly from heaven there came a sound like a rush of a violent wind, and it filled the entire house where they were sitting. Divided tongues as of fire appeared among them, and a tongue rested on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit, and they began to speak in other languages as the Spirit gave them ability. Now there were devout Jews from every nation under heaven living in Jerusalem, and at this sound, the crowd gathered and was bewildered, because each one heard them speaking in their native language. Amazed and astonished, they asked, "Are not these who are speaking Galileans? And how is it that we hear each of us in our own native language? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, and residents in Mesopotamia, Judea and Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt, and the parts of Libya belonging to Cyrene, and visitors from Rome, both Jews and proselytes, Cretans and Arabs. In our own languages we hear them speaking about God's deeds of power." All were amazed and perplexed, saying to one another, "What does this mean?" But others sneered and said, "They're filled with new wine." But Peter, standing with the 11, raised his voice and addressed them, "People of Judea and all who live in Jerusalem, let this be known to you, and listen to what I say. Indeed, these are not drunk, as you suppose, for it is only 9 o'clock in the morning. No, this is what was spoken through the prophet Joel. In the last days it will be, God declares, that I will pour out my Spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Even upon my slaves, both men and women, and in those days I will pour out my Spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show portents in the heaven above, and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and smoky mist. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood, before the coming of the Lord's great and glorious day. Then everything and everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved." Thus ends the reading of the word.
Thanks be to God.
You know, every year, this day comes around. So every year, we work on preaching this sermon. There are lots of folks who get caught up in the drama of the events, in the video pictures of the event. And I too am one of them who gets caught up. But let's trace what has happened. The resurrection of Jesus Christ, the ascension of Jesus Christ, which we talked of last week, all events engineered and empowered by God. And last week at the ascension, you remember Jesus' last words to his disciples, to the apostles, to the 120 people still in Jerusalem: "Remain here and pray until the gift that the Abba Father has promised you comes. Then you will receive power from on high, and you will be my witnesses in Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem and to all the ends of the earth." And so the disciples, the apostles, the 120, including the women, thank the Lord, were together in Jerusalem, spending time in prayer and waiting. Now, they weren't all at prayer at this particular moment in time. They were all gathered together in one place. But it's not as if they called down this event. This event happened very suddenly, unexpectedly. vicinity of where they were staying. Chaos. And the response to chaos from many is, what is going on here? The response to the many who were there, who were gathered for this holiday in Jerusalem is, I'm hearing things, I'm hearing these incredible deeds about God's power, but I'm hearing it in my language. I'm from Crete, and I'm hearing it in my language, my dialect. I'm from Rome, and I'm hearing it in my dialect. And they're saying, this is almost as if they're calling them, God forgive me for saying this, Polish, but everybody in Jerusalem saying, these people are Galileans. They can't talk. They can't speak other language. They're Galileans. Aren't these Galileans speaking these other languages? This story is about the disciples.